There are many ways to have an impact on this little planet. Tom and I are going to talk about it right now. Stay tuned for this, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to Your Little Castle Show. We get to have fun here every day of the week.
Every day.
I run around, do my Cardinal Cowboy thing, and try to enlighten, inspire, and maybe even entertain just a little bit. And along the way, I get to meet fun, cool, and entertaining people. Tommy, can I say Tommy?
You can call me Tommy.
Tommy is one of the best musicians you'll find in the region, if not the country. He's performed all over the place, professionally, but you're also a business guy.
Correct.
So we met through doing some music. I'll never forget, I walk in, and at the time, I know we'd met, but I thought you were, I misplaced it. I was like, who was that buddy of mine? Because I was standing too far back, and then I got up closer and I realized. And you were calling me out, and I'm like, Cardinal, let's woo, play the hat, do all the stuff. And then I got up there, I'm like, oh, Tommy, what's up, bro? And Tommy loves having that impact on our community, too. So check out his band and fun stuff we do there. But the way the bills get paid many times these days is with small businesses. Is that fair to say?
That's more than fair to say.
And it is very often that a small business hires and employs people in the community and makes a big difference. So that's why we bring small business owners on here to talk about it and what they do. And as I got to know Tommy better about what he does professionally as a business owner and as a business manager now, helping run a company, came in kind of as a consultant, person that said, hey, he's an expert in the industry. They said, we need your skills here, Tom.
Yeah.
And helping Arrowhead do some great things.
Yeah, that's what they're doing is really, really neat. They've been around since 2021, locally owned and operated, and we want to just continue to grow and take care of that. Like, I don't even eat too often at franchise restaurants just because I want to support the mom and pop.
Great strategy. Shout out then also to our local business sponsors. Your Little Castle is sponsored by Carroll House Furniture. Because you like nice things. Where do you like nice things? You got to have a nice roof, everybody, and exteriors, everything outside of that. It's not just the roof, and I can go into that for hours, but Tommy's going to give us some insight of that. But you like those things in your little castle, you need to have that nice furniture. You need that little castle for your nice furniture, where you get your nice things from Carroll House. But if you are looking for a way to invest long-term, personal friend of mine, local guy out of Macon, Missouri, making a difference is what he likes to go by. But check out My Metal Pro, #1 distributor of gold in the world. He's just a local guy here in St. Louis, and now he's just came from Oregon. He's was down in Houston, Memphis, but he wants to do a lot of building here in St. Louis because it's the closest metro city to where he's from. And gold has literally changed. I didn't realize it. I'm an investment guy. I know about the S&P, stocks, mutual funds, annuities, all that fun stuff. Took the test actually one time. Didn't pass. I always take the test to see how hard it is and see if I'll have to study it. So I got my mortgage license. I did my life insurance license at one point. But money, doesn't everybody need to find a way to invest in their future so they can retire at some point?
We need money.
We need money.
We need money.
We need money. Thank you. Yes. So Metal Pro, gold and silver, literally is the way. So there they've put together this little icon. So I'm the Gold Cowboy, and this is my buddy Curtis. If you go to goldcowboy.com, you can find more information about how to get gold at a fractional rate that nobody else does out there. Everybody else is marking it up 10, 20, 30%. They're marking up a standard for everybody the same. Around 2, I think, is an average margin. But in mass, by volume, they still make money. Computers change all that stuff. That's where I get into the technology world. That's where I love that stuff. So with that, let's jump in. We've got a nice shout out there to our sponsors. We really love those guys. Arrowhead Roofing has become a bit of a juggernaut. Is that fair to say? I don't know how do you they've come around now and done some amazing things in our community in a relatively, the company's been around for a while. Tell us a little bit of the background here of Arrowhead.
So they were started in 2021, just very small local business, started a roofing company. The gentleman that started it, he had kind of done a lot of consulting work and grew businesses and, was after COVID, kind of out of work, the way a lot of people were, and he started a roofing industry there in Wentzville. And he has ran it with some family members and a few employees up until March of this year, and then was purchased by a local St. Louis guy that had spent 2 decades in California doing insurance and working for large corporations out there. And then he moved back here, and he was looking to, get into business for himself. He looked at a few different companies throughout St. Louis, and he settled on Arrowhead because they had a great platform. And then he brought me in. And what we're looking to do now is basically just grow that platform and, stand out as a local roofing and exterior company, and maybe one day into other avenues with home repairs.
Well, as you get into, like I said, I just have a personal passion for helping small businesses. A lot of people do know my background a little bit. Worked for Anheuser-Busch, big corporate company, no doubt. Ran the email systems in Wuhan, Shanghai, Stag Brewery over in London, but also the corporate email systems. It was wonderful. Learned a lot, did a lot of great things. But I always had that passion for small business. My parents started a learning center for kids, both involved with education. Kit McGrath Education Center, they were a franchise, and they wanted to come to America. My dad, pretty well known in the college admissions space, they said, hey, we'll let you start that off. And I just saw the battle they had as a small business, competing with big national franchises here in America, and just the whole process that went through that. So I became familiar with helping small businesses, and now it's kind of been my passion. What do you think it is that got your owners so excited about starting a company in a space that's already well competed, lots of competition, but something they really get to have an impact?
One of the things our owner wants to do is separate us from the other companies, is offer services to our clients that nobody else is doing. He also wants to hire the best employees. He wants to pay them the best. And if you pay people the best, you usually get the best. And we want to just have an atmosphere as a company that not only cares about our employees, but also about our clients. We need great employees to take care of great clients in order for us to do something. Does he want to make money? 100% he does. Sure. But at the end of the day, he's also kind of like you. He wants to take care of people. He wants people excited to come to work each and every day.
That's a business strategy. You take care of other people. Tommy and I got to talk about this at some length here before we started the show, because we just we're on that same vibe. When you help other people, generally things go your way. Don't let people take advantage of you, of course. There's a lot of people, and that's why I say you're not truly helping somebody by just saying, here, take this, it's yours. You got to make them earn it a little bit. You want them to respect it. You want them to realize, there was some work that went into that. And then that's really helping them, because then they appreciate, oh, well, if I work for something, I will then learn how to generate and create a lifestyle for myself and take care of my family and kids. That's really helping somebody. Don't get me into the whole discussion with regard to whose strategies in life work and how we manage people, control people. But bottom line is, small businesses really do such an amazing job of that, because they're so they're nimble. They can respond. They can give a quicker answer. They can fix things faster. They can respond to the needs of the consumer in a more effective way. Give me a little bit of your background, though, because you come from a construction background, also a singer, and a catcher. By the way, everybody. This is the guy who runs the show. The catcher. Oh. The catcher. Strike, curveball, slider, fastball. Pick him off at third. You run the show as a catcher, as a construction guy, as a musician, the head of the band.
Well, the catcher's long gone, and prior to being a singer, I was a drummer for years. So, and it was very similar to being a catcher. I had a view of everything that was going on. I could see everything. So I did that for many decades, and then I became up front after our band went through a little bit of a tragedy, and I was kind of thrusted up front, and still learning, a lot to learn. That's the coolest thing about playing music was you're never going to be an expert at it, and you're never going to be perfect at it. And the minute you think you are, you're wrong. So, or somebody will walk into the room and just let you know how much better they are than you. So
that's lots of talent in the music world.
I spent a couple decades in automotive, just learning the fixed operations side of that. Did some consulting stuff in that, and then I always had more of a passion for construction. In college, I was working on architectural stuff. I always wanted to be an architect, but realized that I don't get to design buildings or design houses as an architect. I'm probably going to be doing some undergraphing sewage stuff that's boring. So I never really wanted to sit in an office every day. And kind of always had a passion for sales and sales training and coaching and leadership, and also the passion for construction. Everybody needs a house. Everybody wants a nice home. Everybody wants things about that. So those things kind of have excited me. Spent some time with home builders, done a lot of remodeling, kitchens, bathrooms, things like that. And then this roofing opportunity came about, and here we are.
Well, back to it's hard work and dedication. I would argue that is that something you would argue is this led to the success for everywhere you've been in your life. When you were the catcher, played professionally, actually, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, there was hard work. I just can't emphasize that enough. Alex Hormozy's mentor that I follow, young guy, just went after it. He said, bottom line, all boils down to work. If you're willing to do the work, you're going to get there. If you're not, you're not. That's it.
Talent will only take you so far. I don't care who you are. And there's some people that are just blessed with more talent than each of us, and they have to put in less work. But if you work hard and you have a game plan, you have a process, I think your road to success is going to be much easier. Well,
like I say, ultimately when you get down to it, we are all just trying to find a way to make it on this little planet. It's a struggle for everybody. I mean, I get into my comedic relief, if you will, that God got bored with the dinosaurs. and the dinosaurs were a lot more exciting than nebulas and black holes. But he said, let's create some creatures here that are going to be a lot more intelligent, but not quite nearly as smart as the creator, if you will.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a lot more entertaining. But it's not all easy, cookie cutter. If it was all perfect, that would be boring too.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're on this little planet, and we've got to figure out a way to get through. There's been a good model put out there. A guy by the name of Jesus. I listened to some of what he said. Thank goodness, right? Because when you don't listen, I mean, I'm not saying you have to follow any particular religion, but there's a guy. I'm getting off to my one little tangents here, but kind of like, hey, do things this way, and it works out.
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of what have you seen that model a little bit? You heard about this guy?
Well, for me, I mean, I'm fairly outspoken Christian, and I believe in Jesus, but I also think that if you don't, and you just look at what Jesus talks about and what he speaks about, it's really just about people and about love. And I don't care what religion you are or where you work or what you do. If you genuinely have a love and a care for people and just try to be courteous and do the right thing and be respectful and understand that it's not all about you. You know, road rage always cracks me up because I'm like, well, they're trying to get to work too. And maybe they're 15 minutes late because their kid puked in the car and they've got a massive meeting. I don't know what their story is, but there's other people out here trying to live their lives, and we're always just focused on us,
And bottom line, it does you most favor to take some concern from your neighbor, for your neighbor, and help them, because they're going through we were talking about this a little bit in pregame prep. I'll never forget one of the best quotes I heard from the president of the company, and I got to know him a little bit because I was the number one rep in the company. So we talked to him. I won't say his name because he's not with the company anymore, but he's gone on to other things. But he said, if you took your batch of problems and you said, I'd like to trade my batch of problems with Tom's batch of problems. Once you got Tommy's batch of problems, you probably realize, wait a minute, my problems weren't so bad, right?
Yeah.
We all have some big thing going on with something. I mean, a lot of people are familiar with my mom and the success she's had. But in our family, there's problems we all have to deal with that are crazy. You're like, wow, that really happens? People, this is the way the world is. You got to get through it by pushing and helping other people.
I said this to you pre-show. I said everybody's facing their own Goliath. And what's big to you may seem minuscule to me or vice versa. And again, we just need to show people love and care, whether you're selling them something, buying something, you're in line at Target, whatever it may be,
I appreciate it. All right, we got into our little, that's what this the world is about. That's what this show is all about. And we try to emphasize, just go out and help make a difference. So the company now, give us a little bit more of the background with regard to a lot of success in business.
Yeah.
The owner moved industries a little bit there.
He did.
Saw an opportunity because the construction, you really get to build something.
He did. He was with a large corporate bank, born and raised here in St. Louis, moved out to San Francisco to run a large bank out in San Francisco, moves to LA, and then he runs a large successful insurance brokerage that he owned, and he wound up selling that, and he found himself out in Santa Monica. Somebody made him an offer on his house. He sold it and decided to come back to St. Louis, and he's doing his research, and he wanted to get into something that helped people that he knew was going to be around, that that had some holes in the industry that he can bring his expertise in and grow it. And that's really what he's wanting about. He's wanting to grow this company, not just for his own profit, but to bring people on there. Like he's mentioned to me before, I want to see people in my company buy houses and get new cars and go on these family vacations because we're taking care of them and we're taking care of clients.
Well, we could go on for hours about that strategy because that's what this world is all about. Put your time in, put your work in. Don't be afraid to make a lot of money.
No.
Because the people that make a lot of money, generally, they can't spend it all in one place. They start giving it back to places and helping other people. You ever see those buildings, Chaffetz Arena, Hammond Hall? I mean, these places are named after the people who made a lot of money but said, hey, I want to give back. So that's, I think, what really helps this whole cycle go. I'm going to give a shout out to a quick blurb here, if you will. We have a lot of fun stuff we get to do in the community. And one of the coolest groups, organizations I've been able to work with is Calvin. And Scoo Calvin, he goes by, and helping these kids with boxing in our community because it keeps these kids focused, trains them some skills athletically that they can apply to life. So if you would, take a quick view here of our community spotlight here recently.
Knows, but he doesn't like people to know you're behind this thing for years now.
Yeah.
Scoo Calvin sitting here with me. How long have you been doing this whole boxing thing for kids?
It's our 5th year as of last week, 5 years.
5 years. Mm-hmm. Another huge event today. Mm-hmm. We get to see everybody here. You have some of the best boxers in the area. Mm-hmm. Roberto Duran.
All the way from Panama, and it's his birthday.
And it's his birthday. Alexander the Great.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Alexander is one of the best boxers in the history of St. Louis.
Yes, sir. 3-time champion.
And I know that Michael Spinks has been involved.
Michael Spinks would have been here, but they got sick, so they had to take Miss Flo to the hospital. Get well, Miss Flo.
And I understand that, but I was at the last event, and he was here. Buster Douglas. You got some other superstars coming out that people are familiar with. Are you allowed to say those right now?
Yes, sir.
Tell us a couple of those names of people you know they're going to be here coming soon.
Coming soon. Actually, we supposed to had Evander Holyfield in the building, but scheduling a conflict, so he would be here next week to bless Dalewood at our Juneteenth event next Thursday. So next week, Evander Holyfield will be in the building.
So the point is, you are really connected. You've taken your connections and tried to make an awesome program for kids.
Yes.
That as I've talked to these kids, they really enjoy this. What do you think the kids benefit most from by being part of your boxing program?
Benefit the most is that they get to have fun, discipline, they get to win them beautiful belts, and they get to stay out of trouble.
There you go. I can tell you, I see these kids, they light up when they get the opportunity. And even whether they win or they lose, you can tell they're excited to be part of this.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it really helps them develop as young men?
Yes.
Learning skills for life?
Yes, sir. You got to take the good with the bad. And like Tawan just said, he lost his first fight. That was 4 years ago. He haven't lost since then. He haven't lost in 4 years because he learned from his mistake. And we try to teach them win, lose, or draw. We got y'all back.
Well, great support you've got here. An awesome program. See all the guys that have been involved. And I was fortunate to be involved with the last one. I want to come up here and catch some of the excitement and talk to the kids after the fights. And keep up the good work, sir.
Thank you so much.
Scoo Calvin, everybody.
Cowboy.
We'll be back.
Yes, sir.
Everybody, Cardinal Cowboy here. I want to invite all of you to be part of my new team. No, you don't have to put on a baseball uniform and be a super fan. Now, it would be a good idea to cheer for the Cardinals, the greatest team in the history of the National League. But I'm talking about the Gold Cowboy team. You know, I love to help people follow their dreams and reach their goals in business and in life. So that's one of the reasons why I'm telling you about my friends at My Metal Pro. They help people like you and I acquire gold and silver with a membership that lets you safely buy, sell, and store gold and silver. They make it real easy to get started. My Metal Pro isn't like the big guys you see on network TV or the big coin shops that take a huge commission. So become part of my Gold Cowboy team. Scan the QR code or go to goldcowboy.com and check it out. Giddy up!
Well, there you go. So, a little word from our sponsors, a little bit of about our stuff in the community. Calvin does such a great job, and I was trying to get extra camera work. I was actually giving somebody I'm working with a little extra time. They need a little extra time, and I called Calvin. I'm like, he goes, Holyfield just left, but he knows him personally, so he says, Carter, I'm gonna get you. You've helped us and done a lot of work. And I'll get you a private interview someday. Hopefully, I'm not gonna call that out because I want to hold Mr. Holyfield anything.
I don't want to make him mad.
let's not make Evander upset. But he's a great guy. Supports a lot of good stuff in the community as well. So that's what we want to continue to emphasize. Those leaders that come around from the country and spend time in St. Louis. And there's some more connections going on there that I'll tell you guys about some other time. I can't share unless I get permission. I always ask permission in those kinds of areas. But let's go back over here. We've got a lot of great reviews that are being published about you guys. And that's what I like to see. Companies that are doing a good job, they tend to have people say nice things about them. So I'm going to put this up on the giant TV wall to the right. 113 reviews, a 4.9. What happened on the 0.1?
Probably rained that day.
It probably rained that day. But I mean, that's pretty good. It's hard to imagine getting a 5.0 anywhere, so something's going on with that. But hey, so I've seen people do strategies that can work. But bottom line is, this is some real stuff. So
yeah,
I'll grab just a couple of these and we'll share with everybody. But how often is it we do get these reviews? We want to have somebody say nice stuff, and they're doing it on their own volition, right? They're going out there and spending the time to do it. Tell me what it makes you feel to see these kinds of reviews that you've got from a bunch of people that are going, hey, nice things.
Well, we just know the modern world. I mean, I look at reviews when I'm scoping a business, whether it's a restaurant, a hotel, or something, whatever it may be, and I go on, and obviously if they've had 3 reviews and they're at 100, I take that with a grain of salt. If they have 3 reviews and they're at a 0, I take that with a grain of salt. When you get in hundreds of reviews or thousands of reviews, the way some of these companies are, and they're not going to ever be perfect. What I typically do is when I'm kind of scrolling through the comments, I personally just look for the consistent things. And as a manager within the company, I always say if we make the same mistake twice, we have 1 of 2 problems. We either have a gap in our process, or we have an employee that's not following the process that's causing this gap. So I do the same thing when I'm looking at reviews. If I see somebody say that they don't answer their phone on time, and I've got 20 reviews and I see it 10 times, that's probably true. If I see 20 reviews and I see it 1 time, maybe we missed it on them, but it's not a consistent thing. It's not a pattern. So I look at reviews and I look for the same word over and over, whether it be my company that I'm running or if it's something that I'm looking to do.
There you go, and that's why we like the highlights. So that's a great strategy. I've never heard anybody with that kind of depth. Tommy is a business consultant too, by the way. Everybody can really help you analyze. But here's Chris. He says, my old roof failed insurance inspection, and Arrowhead Roofing was able to quickly install a new roof, and they did a great job. Kyle made the process very easy, no pressure, and answered all my questions. And it looks like that's pretty much what you guys see up and down the board here.
Yeah.
From 113 reviews. So that's a good sampling. Like we talk about, as a business consultant who does the marketing side on the digital side of the world, Digital Business Pro is my LLC since 2011, and we talk about these things are what people notice, and you've got to address these things. If you don't, then there's going to be a problem. If you've got 7 reviews, you got a little work you got to do.
Yeah.
Get some testimonials if nothing else. So that's
and you have to ask for the reviews too. That's one thing you have to do, because if you don't ask the happy people, the 1 or 2 people you didn't, you're going to hear about that.
Yeah.
The squeaky wheel is going to get the grease.
That is so true as well. Great advice. All right, well then, let's do a little cost analysis. When you see somebody who's in a situation with regard to a roof, and now they've got a problem, how many times is it maybe they're going, oh, we can fix it ourselves, or I've got a brother-in-law who does these jobs, and he's got a ladder that he can bring over here. Tell me some of the implications behind the cost savings and what they're really putting at risk.
We typically don't get into those things.
Okay.
We truly just don't, because, I mean, you called us at the first part. So you clearly don't trust your brother-in-law, or you wouldn't have called us. We're going to give them a price. We're going to give them a fair price. If they were to come back to me, and I'm going to throw out a number, this is a very cheap number for a roof, so don't mark this down in your Bible. Let's just say $10,000, and your brother can do it for $9,000. Well, let's have a conversation. Okay, maybe I can come down off of mine to work with you a little bit. We're going to have a warranty. We're going to stand behind it. We're a business. Your brothers may or may not do that. Depends on your family dynamic. But if your brother can do it for $20,000 or for $2,000 and I'm going to be $10,000, there's really not a point in having a conversation. Because the things you're not forgetting is who's going to go buy the material, who's going to drive and pick them up. There's all these times and things that people don't. So I typically don't get in the weeds with people on stuff like that, and I try to train my sales staff on that. We're going to give a fair price. And if we're the highest person or where we're at, I'd like to look and see maybe somebody missed a bunch of stuff. Maybe they're not pulling a permit. Maybe they are missing off things that are part of code that a lot of roofing companies don't put in their initial estimate. They sneak them on the back end. We try to have our estimates as complete as possibly can with everything we see. That way, there's no hidden cost.
Well, that's how you run a business. Give full information, full disclosure, but to figure out if there's something obviously that adverse to the situation, something not making sense.
Right.
They're missing something. You don't cut corners. We break out the pencil for that one, everybody. Tommy made a good point there. Do not cut corners because you will pay for it later.
You will.
You're gonna save a few bucks now, and then when your brother-in-law can't come to the house because you have he's out of town,
or you had a family fallout, God forbid.
Yeah, I was gonna say
those never happen
because the Packers won.
Yeah.
And he's still mad at you. Rubbed it in his face that the Packers beat the Bears or whatever. I'm talking about a specific fun thing. Girlfriend likes the Packers. I like the Bears.
I'm a Packer fan, so.
So all right, well.
So the Packers did win. So
they did. The Bears missed it. That's where I was going to send my resume because I kicked field goals. The guy he doinked it, and they lost on a 28-yard field goal. Well, all right, but isn't life so much more valuable with relationships rather than Packers? And so we get along, and hopefully these things.
Yeah.
But that taillight warranty, they talk about it. That warranty is as good as you can still see the taillights.
That's a family saying.
We've heard that one before.
Heard that one.
All right. Well, as we finish up first half hour here, we're up to 26 minutes. We got 2 minutes left for this half. What's the one thing that you would say that really sets your guys' business apart when it comes down to it? Arrowhead does a great job, and they've done so well. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I look at those numbers. I'm like, since 2000, that's 5 years in business. Long history before that in business overall. How have you grown so quickly and done so well so fast?
Honestly, at the end of the day, to sum it up and just to make it as simple as can, we offer a service that people need, and at the end of the day, we take care of people. We answer their phone calls. We try to call them before they call us if there is an issue. If we make a mistake, we try to get out and fix it properly, and we just try to take care of people at the end of the day.
Well said there, everybody. Tell me then, this is one of my favorite questions. What is the biggest mistake you've seen people make? This is a big decision. You're talking about the livelihood of your house. People talk about the roof protects the whole thing.
Yeah.
Water, rain, sun, everything that goes into a roof. What's the biggest mistake people make when making a decision? They just had a hailstorm come through.
In St. Louis,
the
biggest mistake that I see people make in the roofing industry in St. Louis is if you don't purchase from Arrowhead and you don't buy from me, please make sure that you get a local St. Louis company. And don't just go with somebody just because they have a 314, a 636, or a 618, or a 573 phone number.
Right.
Actually verify that they're from St. Louis, because you can buy a P.O. box and you can get a St. Louis phone number real easy.
Yep.
And you can be in Oklahoma, you can be in Texas. And I've been on numerous roofs before. They're calling a year later and there's a problem and they have an issue. And there's nothing I can do, and they have no warranty because this company's out of business. So make sure they're a local company. That's what I recommend.
Very important. And he made a couple of key points there, because there are times that I know companies have done this. I'm not naming anybody. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But they get a little office. They get a number real quick, local, and they were there for 6 weeks. And that may be all that they're ever going to
You can get a P.O. box in St. Louis where mail goes to.
There you go. All right, everybody, stay tuned for the second half hour. We're going to talk to Tommy here about some other insights like, hey, tell us a time when you felt like you really helped a client. That's one of my favorite ones. All right, everybody, we'll be back.